Okay, this is going to be a continuation of a discussion that me and Something C1 had on the Shitty Talkers video, to John, Why Socialism is Bad. Okay, he said, I advocate for the recognition of us as being a species on the same boat. We exist in the same world and can work together with each of our individual Dunbar-sized groups, 150, 250 people, interacting both with materials, money for over the Dunbar number, and intentionally within the tribes of about 150 to 250 people. I do not know the specifics, nor can I. Whatever emerges is what will be the case, and that is dependent on you, on us. Okay, that I agree with you totally. I'm not sure about the Dunbar number. I'm not a necessarily a biological predeterminist. I think our free will is limited, but I do think that we are able to enhance any ability virtually through education and through education. I mean, not just formal scholastic education, but the education that goes on in the family, that goes on in the community, coming to realize that we're all one people. And I see that you agree with that. We have different ways of going about it, but I think in general we probably agree on the most fundamental aspects of this. And I agree. It has to be organic. It has to be. That's why I'm a big fan of Bakunin. He was a left-wing anarchist. That's why in your the underbar, you said that you don't see cooperation as being a big part of socialism, but you're ignoring a large part of socialist history. I don't know how much you know, but and I'm not an expert. I should get my brother to do a video about this. But he's a fucking encyclopedia about this shit. But at the First Workingmen's International, there was two major coalitions. Marxist coalition, which was totalitarian, statist, dictatorial, and Bakunin, who was, he was an anarchist. He's one of the original anarchist thinkers. I highly suggest reading him. He's the main criticism of him is that he doesn't have like a firmly drawn out plan for things, but like you said, it has to be organic. So that's somebody you should probably look into. I think you'd probably like him, even if you don't agree with him on everything. Okay, then you said, I am greatly interested in showing how transitional statism. I am greatly interested in you showing how transitional statism is better than recognition of the impossibility of transition, the recognition of us all being in the same boat, such that we work things out with direct voting of what you buy, rather than intentional voting on such a grand scale that it far exceeds the Dunbar number of tribes, resulting in warfare. That is how the idea I am proposing results in war, and that is how the that is how the idea I am proposing results in war, and the idea you're proposing does not. Okay, I'm not saying that there will not be any conflict. In fact, I do believe it is inevitable, but I think it can be more spread out, less deadly, which is the of primary importance to me, and also preserves a greater degree of the infrastructure, which will enable us to continue with society as close to the high standard of living we generally have as possible. The idea, okay, the fact is, whether you want to start a purely meritocratic system right now, unless you were to say, okay, well, we're just going to redistribute the wealth evenly and start over again, then I could see it. But the thing is, we're not starting on a level playing field. Nowhere close. The level of education the typical rich person has, and obviously the money. They already have control of the goods and the services, the factories. They have control of, such disproportionality in wealth. What do the people who don't have the means to survive without the state, at least for now, what do? What does my mother do? My mother just 3 weeks ago had brain surgery. She had a tumor removed, She has fractured vertebrae in her spine. She has no cartilage in her knees. What does she do? My sister is a paranoid schizophrenic with suicidal tendencies and post-traumatic stress disorder. What does she do? My brother also has problems, not as severe, but he receives disability, and he is. But they're still severe, and they are severe enough to receive disability. More than severe enough. But compared to my mother and sister, I mean, my brother probably could eke out a way. It would be hard, but he probably could eke out a way. My mother and my sister could not, and I can't make enough right now to support them legally. And if you think I will sit there and do nothing while they, forgive me for being a little melodramatic, but starve, oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. That's not going to happen. And there's, I live in the city of Buffalo, New York. Mass poverty, massive unemployment, and I mean, granted, there's people that abuse the welfare system, but there's just not enough jobs for everybody, anyways. I mean, shit, even with all the people abusing welfare, there's still not enough jobs for all the people who want jobs. What are you gonna do when there's no more unemployment checks, when there's no more welfare, when there's no more Social Security, and people are really facing homelessness? They're facing possible starvation. What do you think people are going to do? I'll tell you what they're gonna do. They're going to go out to the suburbs. They go out to the suburbs, and they're going to start taking shit. And if it's that or starvation, I support it. I support it adamantly. Adamantly. We have to have a society, and I know you don't advocate that. I understand that from this discourse right here that you don't want that, but I don't see it not happening. Okay, I work for a large corporation. I bust my ass, and I make decent money. I make enough money for me to get by, but I can't support everybody. I can't support everybody else. And I work. Okay, my hand's fucked up. It's been repeatedly broken. Last time was at work, and that's the one that made it so that my hand's never going to be the same again. I have a hiatal hernia. I have nerve damage over the left half of my body, and I have lung damage from being stabbed through the lung and having the open chest surgery. I have stomach ulcers. I have tendon and cartilage problems in my left shoulder from getting my shoulder separated from getting jumped. I have a few psychiatric disorders. How long? Can I work 60 hours a week so I can have enough to support them? No, I can't. My body will break down quickly. It'll break down quickly. I mean, and my story might be a little severe than the average person's, but man, come on. There's a lot of people who will be facing just catastrophe, just utter catastrophe and calamity if the state is taken away too quick. You will be pulling the rug out from people who have been victimized their whole life by the state. I'll give you that, by the state, but serving the interests of the corporations, the banks, etc. Because if you were to subtract the corporate influence, the bank influence, and all the rich people bribing our elected officials, you take all that money out of there, we could actually have a good system. I don't see it happening, but it is at least possible. And under anarcho-cap, and TheElmoIsEvil, he just made a great video today. I don't know if you're subscribed to him. I'll put a link in the bottom to this. But he made a great video. He's a left-wing anarchist like me. If you know him, you already know that. And and I agree with what he said in there. I don't believe in forcing you to become, like me. If this area, this community were to vote for an anarcho-collectivist situation, and you don't like that, you're free to move. Or if it chose anarcho-capitalism and I didn't like it, I'd be free to move. But either way, I mean, there are people who will suffer. There are people who suffer. There has to be some kind of transition, otherwise there will be war. There will. People are not going to roll over. And another thing, I mean, really don't, there's just so many problems with just the immediate, just pow, transition. And plus, how are you going to do it? How? That's what I want to know. How can you do it without war? Because I've seen more than enough death and violence and shit in my fucking life. The story, I'm pretty sure you already gathered that you know, I don't want to see more. I really don't. I mean, not any more than is absolutely essential. You know, but I'm looking forward to your response. I do respect your opinions. I respect where you're coming from. I hope it's mutual, and hopefully we continue the discussion. I'm always, even if we don't change each other's minds, you know, I like coming to understandings with people, even if I disagree with them. In fact, especially to a certain extent, if I disagree with them, because it you know, it reinforces my faith in humanity that hopefully we can you know, start solving some of our problems. All right, take care of yourself, man. Peace.